Hello my quilting family, we're here with another installment of the coffee themed sew along, and this is the center block. Now this is a pretty big block and the cutting instructions are all listed below, and I had a blast making this and designing this. We had to split this up into two parts. We're going to make this block in total today, hopefully, and next week we're going to show you the two inner borders because there's two of them. But I've given you the cutting instructions for the whole block. So I've also sorted my little cut pieces into the body, the spout, the handle, and the lid. And you'll see those in the cutting instructions as well. It'll tell you, okay, this is for the body, this is for the handle, you know, so you're not going to get too confused. And you'll see how cute this goes together. This goes together like slick. So we should get sewing because we've got lots to do today. Okay, we're here at the sewing machine, and the first thing we're going to do is our flip and stitch corners. Right now there's one on the spout and there's two different sets on the lid. So let's get those through first because I already have that all done. So now this flip and stitch, we're going to flip this over and I'm going to draw on this red fabric, and I'm going to go from point to point. It's a little bit big. I don't think I have enough. I'm good at sewing, but I'm not that good. So we're just going to draw a line point to point, and we're going to see, here, can you see that line? Yeah, you can. So we're going to set this on the longest piece of the spout. Now what you want that spout to do is fold this way, right? So you have to make sure that your spout is going to go the right way because the body is going to be here when it's all done. So I'm just going to leave that there. Now I'm going to go through, oops, if I can get find my foot pedal. Now you're just going to kiss the inside of the line on this side of the fabric, not this side. So you want to make sure that you're like a thread away from that line so that this piece here will cover. Okay. And I need my scissors. I'm going to just put this off like so. I'm going to make sure that it covers. Just give it a quick check. Make sure that it covers. Like when you finger press this up, you're going to see that it will cover lovely. It covers all the fabric that way, but flip it over. It's pretty good. There's a little bit, you know, it's a little bit higher here. There's a little bit more showing red here, but it looks good on this side. So we're good to cut. We're good to cut this off, this oversized triangle. And I'm just gonna take the world's smallest pair of scissors because I forgot where my shears were. And we're now going to sew on the top of the spout, and then we're done with the spout. We can move along to the next piece, and I'm going to go this way. Okay, so there's the spout. Spout's all done already. Okay, now with just 3 pieces in this spout and sewing like 2 seams, 1 flip and stitch and 1 regular, we now have our spout, right? So we're going to put a label back on it so we don't forget where it is or what it looks like. So now I'm going to put this back down on my pile, and I'm going to grab the lid. Now the lid has 2 flip and stitch corners, right? So what I'm going to do is I've got these pieces here. I'm going to take the longer, the 18-inch piece, and match it up with the smallest background pieces, right? So here we go with this. And we're just going to go through and quickly give it a stitch. Now I feel pretty comfortable or pretty confident about doing a flip and stitch corner when it's little, you know, just a 2.5 inch piece like this, if you need to draw a line, you can definitely do that. Nobody's going to say anything about it. So I'm just going to line it up best I can. And I want to stay on this side, not this side, but this side, because I want that thing to be big enough when I'm done. Okay. And now the other one gets stitched like this. And kind of made a loop. And we want them to come, we're trying to round the lid, the top of the lid off, right? So, of course, now there's the one side, and yes, it finishes. We'll just go through the next. We'll go through just to make sure the next one works. And we're just gonna like finger press it up out of the way. Yes, it will cover. So we've got both of these done. So I'm going to take this and I'm going to just, again, take the world's smallest scissors because I forgot my shears. And we're just going to trim off the back. This is such a cute print. So that's the first row. Now the second one, we've got these other two pieces that are 2.5 by 4.5. And we're going to put them on the 15 inch. Right? Now this is where this gets a little different because we're going to go like this with these pieces, and we're going to make sure that we sew from here to here and here to here. So I'm just going to quickly give this a little quick line that tells me which way to go, because otherwise I might get lost because these aren't squares, right? So I want to make sure they're going to extend out past the block a little bit, but we'll just get them, we'll get them all there. It'll be fine. Okay, so now that I've marked them, kind of, I'm going to quickly run them through the same way, and I'm going right to this corner here. There we go. And I don't think I can make it to the next one, so I'm going to quickly run this little plug through and do the same on the way back up, like so. And make sure it's all, yep, it's in the right spot. Okay. Now I'm just going to run this plug back. Okay, now before we cut, we're going to make sure that this works, right? So it comes in a continuous line, right? That works good, that's fine that way. And this works good too. It lines up in a good line, so we've done it right. Now I'm just going to finger press this out of the way. Now I'm going to take the excess bit and just chop it off, just like so. So this is such a nice way to finish something. And it's kind of like a flip and stitch, or stitch and flip corner, right? So I just line those up on the side here. So there, now we're going to test to see, because the longer piece goes on the bottom, the shorter piece goes on the top. So here we are. I've kind of got a ridge. That's perfect. I added an extra bubble ridge, so it'll be good. It's perfect. Now let's change feet, because now we're done with all of the flip and stitches. We don't have any more flip and stitches to do. Not even on the handle this time. So let's finish our lid. So this lid, oh dear, did I lose that piece? No, I didn't lose that piece, did I? Oh, here it is. There it is. Lost it for a minute. There we go. Now I'm just going to run, this is the very top of the lid. Oh wait, I'm going to sew up some of these first. And this time we're going to do them like triangles. And then we're going to, okay. Once we sew them all into the four little ones all together, I'll make a little pinwheel out of them. So this now we can take and open our seams to reduce the bulk. And now we're going to take, now these don't match up, right? Because one is a little bit longer than the other. So what we're going to do is we're going to match our centers and trim. That's the easiest way to do this, and we're just going to flip this over like so. And might as well take the bottom as well and give it a quick little finger press so that we know which way we're going. And now when we open this up, we'll have a little mark here, and we can line up our little marks and we can pin them in place so that we have them exactly meeting in our middle. Okay, and now we're just going to run this under. There we go. I'll line it up. Oops, my seam flipped closed. I want it open. So now the fiddly parts are now done. And run another little. Okay, and just fold that out of the way, out like this. Now we're going to match up the bottom with this, right, where I finger press both sides. And I'm just going to put a pin in the middle just to hold that place because I don't want that shifting too much. And sometimes it's better off just to cut a little bit extra long, you know, and that way too you know it's going to fit. Now you line this up just like so. And now we know our lid is done. So it does come together quickly. I mean, it's not, you know, it's not too complex, but there's our lid. There's our little lid. Now, what I do with these bits here, this extra bit, is I just take my scissor and I trim. From point to point, it works. You don't have to, you know, this way if we were too, you know, if we cut a little bit big and we trim, that works. That's all fine. So I'm going to put another pin in here to mark my lid so I don't lose it. And then now we're going to work on the handle. Okay, now the spout and the lid is done. Let's work on the handles. Now the handles were kind of fun to do. We'll just get all the pieces here. Now I'm going to lay this out so you can kind of see what we're doing. This is the end of the handle, right? These are the end of the handles. So what we want to do, and this one will go on the top and one will go on the bottom, right? So we're just going to put those to the side. So what we're going to do first is we're going to assemble this part first. Okay, now, oops, make sure it's lined up. Yes, it is. And they just fit really well together. And that longer triangle that we cut off. There we go. And then we're going to put the body there. Now these little odd blocks that I'm making, they're not going to end up in this quilt. It's just that I can't stand to have them all, you know, hanging about. Now I'm pressing my handle open, like on these seams here, and I just do that by running my thumbnail along that seam. The seam is not long enough to stretch the fabric, but it does work. So now I'm going to sew these together, and if you find, okay, like this one here, my 1/4 inch seam is a little on the chubby side. So what happens is this piece has been cut correctly, but my sewing isn't. So I'm going to put this on the bottom. And I'm putting it on the bottom so I can ease in that extra, you know, 1/8 or whatever it is. And I'm just going to start it here like so. And with my needle down, I'm going to make sure I line up this end, because that's the end I need to be done. So this now is floating on top of my strip underneath, right? And this is how you ease in things. Of course, it's flipped open. There we go. Now, and you just keep going along. You let your feed dogs do the work. You don't do anything except hold on to the end that you need to match up. And like magic, it works. So here we go. Now I'm just gonna run through this again. And now we start sewing on the top and the bottom. Right? So it worked perfectly. Flip this over, open up this seam, and yes, we'll give everything a good press before we start assembling it to the body. But so you give it a good press. And now we're going to make sure we don't... Now it doesn't matter which one of these you sew on, their top and bottom are equal. So here we go. And okay. There we go. There. Okay. And that officially is, okay, now the handle. Now we're going to work on, now I'm going to finger press these open just so you can see, because you don't want any bulk. You try to eliminate bulk as best you can. And sometimes it's easy just to finger press them open and get it over with. Right? So, now for the body, I'm just going to put a handle here. Mind you, all know what it is. So I keep, when I'm working with a bunch of parts, I label them and then I pin them. So as I'm finishing them, then I know where they are. So now the body comes together pretty quickly. So basically, you take your two bigger pieces, the 7.5 by 18, and you put the little skinny 6.5 in the middle, and then you put the two strips now on either side of the 6.5 inch piece, right? So there's your, I know it's kind of hard to see this the way it is, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to sew the top first. Now if you're working with directional fabric like I am, kind of line this up so that it all works together. There we go. Well, they should all work out to 18 inches. And there we go. And then I take the 6.5 and I put that on the bottom. Now, what I have decided I would do with the body here is I would turn the work to the 2.5-inch strip, right? Because it will lie flat that way. It will lie flat. It's flat enough. And none of the seams match up to the handle or the spout, so, you know, it works. Okay. And run this through. And, okay. So, oops. There we go. I'm just going to finger press this like this real quick. And now I take the bottom piece and I sew it onto the middle. Okay, and we'll run that little plug through again. Make sure you're putting it the middle, the skinny middle one goes in the middle, right? So, here you're just... Now, okay, once I get all my bits sewn together, what I'm going to do is I'm going to quick take and press the seams open and, you know, or to the side. And, you know, you're going to find, like, sometimes, like, with this, you might find, well, this doesn't work for me. I needed to press out the 2.5-inch strip to press out towards the bigger pieces, or... It doesn't matter, however it works for you to distribute the bulk. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to give everything, let's get this all off, I'm going to give everything a really good press, and I'll meet you back here to do the assembly, because there's our body. Okay, all the pieces pressed out beautifully and everything's lying really flat. The first thing we do, and the first thing you have to do here is sew the lid onto the coffee pot body, right? Because the rest of the pieces won't fit in your, so I make sure I've got the top where all my prints are going the same, my directional prints are all going the same way. So this is where I'm going to lay this out and put it on top. Now, what happens here is this is a long stretch of fabric. It's like 18 inches, right? So you put something in the middle, you know, and kind of like, you know, pin the end and, you know, get it started that way. And you just don't ever sew over your pins. You could do some serious damage to the timing in your machine. You know, especially if you're a newer one. But even these ones here, you can do quite a bit of damage to them. Oh, and my thread broke. Ah, well, you know what? That happens. That happens. Okay. There we go. Let me just get that. Now, threading a needle on this, I use the, please let me hit the eye of the needle. There we go. Nope. Missed it. There we go. Second run. That's good. Okay, so now we're going to try this again. We get some little triangles here just to make a itty bitty pinwheel. There. Now we're going to put the handle on first, or make sure, we're going to make sure the spout goes on, or no, we should do the spout first. The spout is very directional. The handle can go on either side, but the spout has to fit. So now we're going to line this all up. And this is a much longer stretch of fabric. I can't even get it all in shot because it's such a big block. Anyways, we're going to pin this out here. And we're just going to line up our edge where we start. But I do use pins when I'm sewing something so large. Now, one of the things with this is there is a spot you must meet. That's where the top of the coffee pot, before the lid, hits the top of the spout. So now we want to press that and make sure it matches right in there. Get it in and secure. And then the rest of it kind of just falls into place. And like I say, I put a couple of pins here and there just because it is such a long stretch. And you don't want your fabric to stretch too much either. And if you're using scraps, hopefully, you know, you're, okay. So there we go. And I've pressed all the ones, these to the center or to the middle. So now I just don't want my seams to start flipping. Let me get that little triangle off. And there we go. This was a lot of, this the other day was so much fun to put together. And my dear friend Marilyn, who actually sent me the fabric from Nancy's Notions, was watching me work as I put this together. So she got a good kick out of it. She was quite impressed that I was using the fabric and it was turning out. It was going to turn out really cute. She did see my mock-up block, the coffee pot you saw at the beginning of the show. So here we go. We're coming up to that point we must match. And slow down until you right in there. Yes, perfect match. Perfect. And now let me just sew along here. The entire block falls off my, and we'll get another little bit sewn together here just to get it off the, okay, so the spout's on, it looks good, everything matched up good. See, the spout is on. Oh, here we go, the spout is on. So now we're going to go to the other side and we're going to put the handle on, and we're going to try, because this is directional fabric for me, you might not be using directional fabric. I want to make sure all the fabric for this little bit and this little bit are the same as this bit. So now we're just going to flip this over and again pin because it's longer. Here we go. And you do, I know this looks weird, doesn't it? Because it's all over the place. None of the seams match up except for that spout, which I thought was a clever way to design something. That way you're not, it becomes very user or beginner friendly instead of like having people wondering how I'm going to meet this, how I'm going to match that. So, and there we go. I'll put this in right here. Again, if you find one piece just a tad longer than the other, don't stress. It's important. Don't stress over something like that. Let the feed dogs do their job, and you know, it will work. It will work. You know, I think sometimes people don't understand how ease works. You take the bigger piece and you put it on the bottom. And what happens is the feed dogs will move the stuff through the way it's supposed to be. You know, your cutting might be a little off, your 1/4 inch seam might be a little off. But you know what? It's all about having fun, right? It's not about getting stressed. So, here we go. And, okay. And you don't want your seams flipping the wrong way underneath as well. There we go. Yeah. Okay, last seam is going to flip the wrong way underneath. Here we go. When you're doing bigger blocks, make sure the block doesn't pull, doesn't fall too far off the other side. And I'm just going to finger press this a certain way, and we're going to get a little cute little let's see, pinwheel out of this when we're done. And I can show you what this now looks like, and we'll do a big ta-da. Okay. Here we go. One up, one down. Okay. Step back for the big reveal. Are you ready to see what coffee block we made? This coffee theme? Isn't that gorgeous? Isn't that gorgeous, wildly eclectic? I wish I had a coffee pot this big. But anybody who knows me really well knows that this sewing room runs on coffee and granola bars. But so this is what we've made. I can't hardly wait to show you what the rest of it's going to look like. And to boot, we made a cute little pinwheel out of the blocks. Cute little pinwheel out of the blocks that we sewed off that I have to square up, and another half square triangle that'll go into my orphan block bin. But isn't this adorable? I bet you guys are just having such a great time with your scraps doing something like this. The red was a very large scrap and I had to use yardage, and the same with the yellow. So come back next week and we'll put on the first 2 inner borders for this block. It's going to look so cute when you're done. Okay? See you next week. Okay, take care. Bye. If you have questions about what you saw in this video, or you have ideas for content or something you want to see us do, please put those comments in the description below. But also, while you're there, like, share, and subscribe with your friends. That would really help us out. Okay, I want to thank you and have a great day.